there's a fundamental disconnect in the way that the worldviews are being approached, and this is like if anyone considers themselves essentially a conservative, this is the thing that you really have to bear in mind. The intersectional left, which are the people who that's an umbrella term that will broadly describe Black Lives Matter, feminism, Antifa, the other communists you see on TV, and people who are parroting the same talking points in the same way as them. They have a view of a human being that's just very different to your own. I'm going to get a little bit esoteric here, but like most people have a kind of unitary view of a human being. The human being is, you are your body. You have certain properties that are created by your body, which is your strength, how high you are, how tall you, how far you can jump, and it also includes your brain. And people understand that the brain's a biological organ, and that's the source of your consciousness, your will, right? And so most people will understand that there is a biological connection between what you think and what you are, and you'll notice in like your moods. You see people when they take when they transition, they start taking hormones. They speak about their dispositions, the way they feel becomes different, and that's totally normal because the brain is a biological piece of part of an organism, and it's affected by reality. And so most people don't think that the will has like this sacred sovereignty, and the will is being constrained by the body. Most people just kind of, and without articulating it like this, but that's the assumptions that they'll make, is that you're all a part of a biological organism. But if you look at left-wing philosophy at the moment, it's I've got this the wrong way around, but anyway, if you look at left-wing philosophy at the moment, they take a totally different approach. Like what is it for a regular person to identify a woman? They'll say an adult human female, right? But that's a transphobic definition, because that means that it can't simply be that a person identifies as a woman to be a woman. And that's a very, very interesting dichotomy, because adult human female is very much based in biology. It's very much based in the presence of a person. It's an objective category. I can look and see that you're an adult. I can see you're a human. I can see you're a female, or I could check if maybe. But I can objectively determine that. However, what you choose to be is only in your head. And it grants license to the idea that the thoughts, the consciousness, are somehow the supreme sovereign over everything. That's the most important thing. And I realize that this is a very esoteric way of looking at it, but what that does is it makes it transcendental. It means it's not connected to the biology. The biology is actually holding it back rather than being a product of the biology. And so you end up getting people saying, well, if I will that I am a woman one day, then I should become a woman. And it's like, okay, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. And I know that I agree that gender dysphoria is a problem that a person has, but that doesn't mean that the will is just correct. There is a biological process that has not gone right to produce that result, because it's an imperfect system. But the will itself, just because there's conditions that make it feel a certain way, it's not completely free, and so we can't just treat it as autonomous, right? But they are treating it as autonomous. Oh, I will that I'm a woman. I will that I'm this. I will that I'm that. It's like, yeah, okay, you can say that, but objective reality has a different opinion, and the big schism between the two is whether you are a kind of person who believes in objective reality, which means we're rooted in biology and rooted in things that we can touch, or are we actually sovereign wills that are trapped within this fleshy form? So that's I realize that's probably, it sounds silly to people who aren't really thinking deeply about all of this, but that's essentially the philosophical basis, I think.
The manifestation of the will, the manifestation of that inner soul somehow, that is what it is. Yeah.
Well, just to explain very, very, it comes basically from continental philosophy, and it comes essentially from the idea that the will, there can be a perfectly good will, and a perfectly good will can only be something that's not contingent on reality, because it would have to be true in all times and places, basically. And that it's a very continental way of looking at it, and it's not a very British way of looking at it. It's a very idealistic way of looking at it. But the English-speaking world has always been very empirical and not really given to tremendous flights of fancy. And that's essentially the major difference that we're looking at here. And so it's not a surprise that the English-speaking world is looking at this thinking, what the hell is going on? Because it doesn't make any sense to them. You know, it's annoying, frankly.